Let's go ahead and do the final exam review. Question number 1, negative 12 minus negative 4. Remember, the negative becomes positive. So that's really negative 12 plus 4, which is equal to negative 8. Question 2, subtract 5/6 minus 3/7. Well, we need a least common denominator, which would be 42. Remember, 6 times 7 is 42. Now you can cross multiply. 5 times 7 is 35. 3 times 6 is 18, and that's a subtraction. 35 minus 18 will give you 17 over 42, and that would be the final answer. Number 3, multiply negative 12 over 30 times 5 over 6. If you multiply a fraction, go straight across. That's negative 60 over 30 times 6 is 180. Then you reduce. Both the numerator and denominator will divide by 60, so that would be negative 1/3. Final answer. Question number 4 on the review is an order of operations agreement. And you know that we are supposed to work within the grouping symbols first. This grouping symbol is a parentheses. So 20 minus 2 would give me 18. The absolute value of 18 is 18. So I have 16 plus 18 over 19 minus 4. 16 plus 18 will give me 34. 19 minus 4 is 15, and that will not reduce any further. Number 5. This one starts out with an expression with both numbers and variables. We are given that x is supposed to be 3 and y is supposed to equal 9. So substitute in these values. X is 3, y is 9. Now work this again using the order of operations. 15 times 3 is 45, subtract, 4 times 9 is 36, all over 2. 45 subtract 36 is equal to 9, and that would be over 2. Number 6 is another order of operations agreement problem, and it has both parentheses and brackets. So be very careful. Let me jot this down for us. If we work inside the parentheses, 4 plus 6 is 10. Then division would come before the subtraction in that first bracket. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 36 minus 5 is 31. In the second bracket, division must come before addition, so that would be 7. 1 plus 7 is equal to 8, and 31 subtract 8 will give me 23. Number 7 is an equation to solve. We must simply get the letter P on one side of the equals. Think of the equal sign as a fence or a barrier. The opposite of adding 8 would be to subtract 8p. So 11 equals P. Final answer. Excuse me. On number 8, we have 2x over 5 minus x over 3 is equal to 3. The least common denominator here is 15. If we will simply place a parentheses with a 15 outside each term, we can use this least common denominator to cancel out. 5 divides with 15 3 times, so I have 3 times 2x. 3 divides into 15 5 times, so I have 5 times x. And then on the other side I have 15 times 3. Well, 3 times 2 is 6x minus 5x equals 45 when we multiply. And 6x subtract 5x is simply 1x, which yields the final answer. Question number 9 is another equation. I will distribute the -1 across this parentheses and bring down the rest of the terms. Notice that 7x minus 6x gives me just simply 1x. So I would now subtract 1, and x would equal to 1, which was 2 minus 1. The distributive property is used on number 10. -9 parentheses 6r plus 5 plus 2 parentheses 2r plus 10. -9 times 6 is -54r. -9 times 5 is -45. 2 times 2r is 4r, and 2 times 10 is 20. Pick out your like terms and combine them. That will give me -50r and -25. Remember, you can use your calculator to make this a bit easier. Number 11 says to use the FOIL method or the distributive property. So I multiply the first term in each parentheses to get 16z squared. I then multiply the outer terms in the outer edges of the parentheses to get -12z. The innermost terms would yield 36z, and the last numbers in each parentheses multiply to give me -27. Notice that the middle terms are like terms, so combine them to get 24z. The answer would be 16z squared plus the 24z minus the 27. Number 12 has us adding polynomials. They are set up in the vertical format, which means one over the other. Simply add or subtract straight down in each column. So 8 plus 7 would yield 15a to the 4th, and -2 plus 8 would yield 6a to the 3rd. And that would be your final answer. Number 13 says to graph parentheses 2 and positive infinity. This will be a multiple choice question, and you will look for the graph that has the parentheses on +2 and is shaded out to positive infinity, which is to the right. Number 14, however, asks you to take an inequality and solve it first. So we will solve this like an equation. We can subtract 4x on each side of the greater than. That will leave me 1x plus 2 greater than 12. And I subtract the 2, and that will leave me x greater than 10. Now if I graph that, I will look for the 10. That will have a parentheses because this was greater than, and it's greater than, so it also goes to positive infinity. This completes the first half of your review for the final exam.